Friends game. 5 minute. These guys. There we go. This game just got started, and if you're wondering, it started out like this: e4, c5, Sicilian. Okay, so to prevent b5, okay, we have a4. White will be looking for some type of Grand Prix-like setup. f4, knight f3, castle, queen e1, queen g3. And in response, what will black be doing? I think connecting the knights and then getting d5 in with tempo. That might have been a way to go. So, well, the question now that I have for white, the white setup, is where do you make that pawn break? Where is your pawn break that will help out the rest of your pieces, in particular your rooks? So, like the f pawn needed to get working prior to the knight jumping out to f3. We're going to see about that, though. We're going to see. So this is just a really nice center, I think. A small pawn center. It is not opened. We're not having this d4 and follow-up moves for black to make improvements. b6, bishop b7, should there be some fear. Is an h6 move, a threat on the bishop, going to just be ignored and white trying to get on this h-file? Pretty good time advantage for white. We're just, what, 9 moves in, and it's about a minute advantage. Well, b6, bishop to b7. What do you do? d4 break, I think, could be met sharply with d5. This move could be played, or can it? I wonder if something a little slick like rook to e8, and then this advance. You know what? b5 might be available just so that this rook can make use of a1, giving up a b pawn, just so this rook could come down on a1. The knight would be forced on its heels, has to retreat, jump to that b1 square, castled on opposite sides. We're looking to open files. How will white open files? Okay, well, there is something to bite at, and it's just being snipped right now. Okay, now there is this potential bishop to g5 move, and the queens will be off the board, and it's available right now. The queens could come off in just a couple of moves, but at the end of it all, white could then place an unprotected piece in a pin with rook g3 and f4 to follow. Would get the piece back. So that is being sidestepped right now, but after rook to g3, there is no longer going to be bishop to g5 right away, but I'm assuming rook to g8. So main idea is to get this with this king move. Okay, you're working the knight into a self pin, but it's to get this rook functioning on the g file. For as long as this pawn remains on e6, this knight really can't contribute. And as long as this structure remains as is, can this bishop contribute? I'm bringing these things up because I'm trying to weigh something. I'm trying to weigh, is white able to, well, does white have enough attacking pieces? I'm not seeing the bishop and knight being able to help contribute. So it's kind of down to the queen, rook, and knight. Three pieces, and there's two, at least these two, and close to being a third, a fourth around to defend. It seems, although this knight is in a pin, I don't know that you could do so much more. I guess rook f1 was played in the event the rook is captured. This guy springs to life. May still be quite alright. In fact, why not do this? Why not rook takes, rook pawn takes, and then do this bishop move? You're at least assured that the knights are going to come off. Okay, so knights are going to be exchanged. Yeah, unless these guys get working. One other thing I wanted to point out, maybe there would be at some point, it seems pretty far-fetched, but maybe at some point there would be pawn push just to vacate the e4 square for the knight, but if any piece to take, I think it would be this knight. Knight takes. b5 is another one. b5 just to start attacking the white king. Open up the a-file. b5 is crying out to be played, I think. Okay. Oh, that's pretty slick. That's picking up the exchange. Picking up the exchange, actually being up now a full rook. Knight here, another tricky fork. This knight cannot be kicked away. This bishop is just kind of stuck. Everything is coming back now to just these guys not being able to do a whole lot. But are we going to have a classic example of black maybe losing on time? Will white be able to come up with some time burners? There is still this tricky knight, 1 minute 25. White, I don't believe, will be too successful. Black seems to know how to play quickly. And with e5, okay, that is dropping this pawn, but a calm move here. The bishop is hit, and soon to be the king. Knight takes pawn seems good as well. This bishop is protecting the knight. This square is available. A little bit tricky. A minute 10. A minute 10. That knight is not going away. This knight. Okay, well, now the bishop is boxing out the knight. I was thinking if he could get here and get these pawns. If the knight is attacked, pawn push. Okay, pawn push. How do you generate any play, though? Tricky. Oh, there goes everything. Take the knight. Take here. A rook versus a pawn. Less than a minute. Less than a minute, 57 seconds, and we have resignation. Black wins, and these guys are going to go at it again, but I am finished with observing that one. All right, let me